Welcome to the Mind Shift Movement Podcast with your host, Alan Johnson. On this podcast, Alan will be sharing with you empowering, effective, and actionable knowledge within the health, fitness, and mindset space to help you make the progress and growth that you desire from your life so you'll become the very best version of you, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So now, get ready to dive into today's episode.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Mind Shift Movement Podcast with me, your host, Alan Johnson. And on this episode, I'm going to be speaking to you about how stress can weaken and even shut down our immune system. So, if you've been worried about catching COVID-19 or any other disease, the last thing you want to be doing is feeling fear. Okay, so it's actually a vicious cycle. Okay, so when you're in that fearful state and you're trying to avoid disease and you're trying to avoid catching COVID-19, those that are feeling fearful are more likely to catch the disease and are more likely to fall unwell or catch any other disease. Okay, so I can guarantee that those who are feeling most fearful right now are either watching too much of the mainstream media, okay, or having too many negative bullshit conversations with their fearful relatives or friends, whatever else, okay. When a fact of life is that people die, okay, so as blunt as it really sounds, it is the truth, guys and girls, okay. There's no way of getting around it, right? So if the media shared daily of how many people died of the flu, okay, you probably wouldn't want to leave the house either, right? And it's because the power of the 24/7 negative media is overwhelming for people to consume. People just can't cope with it, and people are still watching it, right? And please don't be one of those people who say, I like to know what's going on with the world, right? I've heard it from so many people before of their reason why they buy into the news and they watch the news, they read the newspapers, they listen to the radio news and whatever else, right? Which 95% of the news is very likely either fake or just wrapped up to make it sound a lot more scary, so more people buy that news, okay? So, you know, they're more enticed to find out what's going on because that fearful state kicks in, right? So the more fearful you feel, the more likely you are to fall unwell. And the reason for this is because fear, panic, and worry puts you into a state of fight or flight. Okay, so cortisol will be raised to alarming levels within your body. So cortisol is a stress hormone released by the body, right? So the way transplants are done, such as having a new kidney, for example, doctors inject us with something called corticosteroids to temporarily shut down our immune system. This is so the transplanted organ is not rejected by the body. Okay, so that just goes to show that even doctors inject us before an operation to shut down our immune system. Okay, so this is what stress can do to our body. So I've actually had a close family member completely improve their life over the last 10 weeks, right? They've pretty much lived with depression for many years and they've become the most happiest I've ever seen them recently, okay? And it's astonishing to see, it really, really is. And it just makes me feel so happy to see them in a more happier place within their own mind and their life, right? And I advised them to make a few changes when COVID first come about. So whatever it's been, like 10 to 12 weeks ago, okay? And the main changes they made was they switched from watching the news so much to reading books or listening to their favourite music to make them feel good, right? And also they've been taking out the dog like every day for some exercise and even sometimes twice a day as well to get that extra activity in. So if you know anyone that's been feeling fearful about COVID-19, then you could share this video with them. or this podcast, of course. And if you're feeling scared or worried yourself, please do yourself a massive favour and your family a favour. And that's to turn off the TV or the radio for a change. Okay, start listening, start consuming something different, start consuming something more positive that's going to serve you better, serve your mind better, serve your mental health a lot better, guys. If you're constantly listening to the negative news and the negative TV, this will damage you both short term and long term. So if you do not make immediate changes to what you're currently doing and currently what you're consuming, it's going to damage you long term. Please hit the share button on this video and this podcast right now. And if you'd love to hear more content from me, then head over to my Facebook page, which is called AJ Fitness and Mindset Coaching. Please go like the page, give it a follow, and there'll be more content just like this coming up very, very soon. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I'll catch up with you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mind Shift Movement Podcast with Alan Johnson. Make sure you join Alan's free Facebook community group, the Mind Shift Movement Podcast Community. Please support the show by clicking subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Share this episode with at least one friend that would benefit from it, and share the episode on your social media stories. Please go and leave us a 5-star review to help us reach out to more potential listeners, and we really look forward to bringing you the next episode.